a minute ago, FFP was brought in to help businesses, football clubs all flourish and healthy competition. Rubbish.
I was partly no. I didn't.
Yes, you did. You can rewind it.
I said it was brought in to stop clubs spending more money than they earn.
You said, and I tried to stop you, and you just said, no, let me talk. Yeah, so I let you talk. 5 minutes later, you forgot what you said 5 minutes ago. You said it was to help other clubs and businesses flourish. Yeah.
No, I said that about the Jeff Bezos example. I said about Jeff Bezos that if a rule came in America that stopped you investing to create more competition and help other business flourish, then he wouldn't be able to invest as much. But when it comes to FFP, I literally stated.
So the law would be that it's the same as FFP then? That's what you're saying?
That isn't what I'm saying. I said it coming for two reasons.
So what was the comparison then?
You brought that comparison up.
You just said if there was a rule coming for Jeff Bezos not to be able to invest as much as he can and much as he wants, it'd help other businesses flourish.
Yes.
On that basis, you're using Man City as the Jeff Bezos and
FFP
to help other clubs flourish.
Lee, I didn't say it would help other businesses flourish. I said if they brought a law in to stop you investing as much in your business, if they brought the law in to help other people flourish, then Bezos wouldn't be able to do that. But you gave a business example, and business examples don't have a Premier League table where a trophy is given out at the end of the season. FFP was introduced for two reasons, and I explained them clearly. One, to
FFP
stop,
wasn't. I'll tell you two reasons why
it was introduced to stop clubs spending more than they earn, and it was partly brought in as well to try and keep competition a little fairer. We know for a fact that big European clubs and big European leagues don't like how much money the Premier League has got in general, let alone owners like Chelsea and at the time City had. And it was Chelsea that really kicked this off because City had only had the shake in for about 2 years before FFP came in. I understand people's logic that they go, owners should be able to spend what they want. And you've said that. So my question to you is, would you be willing to take the risk of having a bad owner like Portsmouth?
Yeah, I would.
So you would take a risk of going out of business?
I would take a risk. Yeah, but tell me that ain't ever going to happen.
Why?
Name me, what's the biggest club that has gone out of business in our lifetimes? Name the biggest club that has actually gone out of business in our lifetimes. Tell us.
So say that again.
Tell me the biggest football club that has gone out of business in our lifetime.
The biggest football club that's gone out of business, Rangers.
In England.
In
they ain't gone out of business. They're second in the league.
Well, they went out of business and they had to start a brand new club.
They got relegated.
Hang on a minute. No, that's false. That's false. Rangers was liquidated. So again, do your history on this. Rangers were relegated and put to the bottom of the pyramid, but it was a brand new formed club. They had to fight in court to be allowed to keep the titles next to their name. It was a brand new formed club. Okay. Now, the reason is this, though. Big clubs have been close to going out in business in the past and people have stepped in. The difference is this, and the world has changed somewhat. When billionaires started coming in and spending billions, there's only a handful of people in the world that could ever pick up that debt. When clubs were like for 200 grand in debt, a few million in debt, there were local millionaires that could pull them out of that. When suddenly clubs were spending billions of pounds on transfers, and trust me, if FFP didn't exist, City would be spending 3 or 4 billion pounds by now. They run up debts of 3 or 4 billion quid, and no one else wants to buy it after the shake and take that debt on and spend in the same way. Because, by the way, it's only been a handful of billionaires that have come in and done a great job on the football pitch in the way Roman did, the Sheikh has done, PSG have that. Loads of clubs have billionaires who haven't done that. Example being, like, your owners at Arsenal. Man United have got billionaires. Spurs have got billionaires, and they're not running the same way. So the risk is there. Now, do I agree do I agree with you in certain elements that FFP is restrictive? Do I think that clubs should be able to, their owners should be able to invest a little bit more? Yes. What my suggestion was years ago is that if an owner wants to invest £5 billion, whatever the running cost of spending that is, he should have to put the money into a bond that he can never touch, that is there for that can cover 5, 6, 7 years of the salaries that he's committing to. So if he walks away, the club can pay those salaries and slowly bring down its spending so it doesn't go out of business. That would be a much better way of operating. But the point,
the reason FFP,
the point is this, though, Lee, FFP exists. They have broken the rules. They can't put a defense forward in the arbitration. If they've broken the rules, their defense can't be, but the rules are crap. That's not a defense, Lee.
Well, can I speak now? FFP was brought in to protect the elite level football clubs, not to help the football pyramid, Terry. But because if you're allowed to spend 75% of your income, but you're Brentford, how are you ever going to be able to strive to be the best team in England? How is that even going to work?
Easy.
It's going to take decades.
Yes.
If you're even lucky to
organic,
have
organic.
Okay, hold
Organic.
on. That's great. That's fantastic. Cool. Yeah. Now go back through the history of football since day dot. Which teams in the whole of history, pretty much every season, win the league titles in their respective countries, Terry? Since football began. Oh, yes, the ones that had the most money. My club were called the Bank of England Club. So all these Arsenal fans that are out here chatting absolute garbage last night and garbage today about, oh, yes, it's disgusting how much Man City were doing. Yeah, brown envelopes, mate. We got back in the league at Tottenham's expense, and we were called the Bank of England Club after being relegated. Learn the history of our football club before you start going and mugging off another football club for doing exactly what we did back then. Right? Now, the second reason FFP has come into place is because now the jobs for the boys, the elite founder members of the football club, of the Football League, sorry, the Premier League, Manchester United, Arsenal, Everton, Tottenham, them founder member teams can now sit there and nobody can break into them. And then what happens is when Manchester City break into that, which they have done, now fast forward all these years later, we're going to investigate them. Why did they put a stop on Newcastle's owners? Why did they try so hard to stop Newcastle having them owners? Because they don't want somebody breaking into that Manchester United, Arsenal, Liverpool, Tottenham, the founder member clubs, right? Now, fast forward again, in 10 years' time down the road, I guarantee Newcastle will be in the same situation. Why are the FA allowing the Glazers to strip 2 billion quid out of a football club with no ambition to try and win and be successful, to try and make the league bigger and better? Because a successful Man United does that, by the way. A successful Arsenal does that, by the way. Why does it allow Brighton's billionaire owner to sell players off 10, 15 times more than he brought them for and never reinvest that back into his team? Ever. They make a profit year on year on year on year. They have not won a trophy for 121 years. So why is it allowed for all these billionaire owners, and there's 18 out of 20 teams that have got billionaire owners in this league, how is it allowed that 18 owners that are billionaires, the majority of them, it don't matter if they don't win, Enix another one, FSG is another one, they're just comfortable making mass profits, but then a Mansour wants to win, wants to try and do some loopholes here and there, and that is seen as bad. I'm sorry, it's pathetic. He wants to be the most successful, and unfortunately, that's seen as bad.
So again, logically, there's nothing wrong with what you've said, and I understand that, but you have to operate within the rules and the laws of the game that exist. It's like it's just the
Which
way.
Is why I said they shouldn't exist, Terry.
Yeah, I understand that, but that isn't the point. Equally, you've conflated a few things. I want to break them down. So, firstly, you're absolutely right. The FA shouldn't allow the Glazers to do what they've done. However, there is now rules. You can't buy clubs on leveraged debt. So you will never be able to do. You never be able to buy a club in the way the Glazers bought Manchester United. That's fundamentally impossible moving forward. That will never happen again. I absolutely agree with you that clubs shouldn't be for external profit. All profit should be given back to fans and or invested back into the squad. So you could go, I mean, £5 million profit this year. Do you know what we're going to do? Everyone who's had a season ticket holder for 20 years or more, you get it for free for life. I'm just throwing out a suggestion, right? There's loads of things
Arsenal
they can
just
do.
put theirs up, by the way, and took 4 games off the ticket next season.
as I've said, right, that you can turn around and there's loads of things that could be done. And I think that's absolutely right. But none of that is a defense for what Man City have done. Now, equally, with other reasons that the FFP has been brought in, it's to keep the elites together and that type of thing. I think there's an element of truth in that. But equally, I've never been somebody that's been against spending. I've never been against Chelsea spending their money. And in fact, City fans think I've gone left and I'm turning on them. I've always stated, if you're innocent and you're not breaking rules, the way you run and you're running your club this brilliantly, then I've got no issues with it. I have no issues with these kind of owners coming in to a degree, but there has to be some sort of limit to it. Otherwise, you just create a situation where just having the richest owners is what's going to make you the most successful teams. You spoke about how long will it take Brentford to get to Man United's level. It's in size, structure, and fan base. Yeah, it might take them as long as it's taken Manchester United 130 years. it's organic to a
Well,
point.
hold on. It's not taken Man United 130 years to be one of the biggest clubs on the planet, Terry. Let's not play games here. Yeah, Man United have been one of the biggest clubs. Man United, only yesterday, yeah, it was the anniversary of the Busby Babes, right?
Yes.
And were Man United one of the biggest clubs on the planet back then?
Yes,
Thank
but
you.
why? But
There you
why?
go. It took 130 years then, is it?
Yeah, but again, you asked a question, but that wasn't the point I was making. If you let me, the
No,
point I
but
was
you dropped in.
no,
It took
yeah,
130 years. Well, it didn't.
it's taken 130 years to get to a point where we're turning over nearly 700 million pound of income. Why has that happened? It's because of what we've built over that time. Man United, a lot of Man United fans get accused of. You only had fans in London from the Premier League onwards. Man United had a 55,000 London membership group in the 50s. Before the Busby Babes accident happened, there was 50,000 Man United fans. And why did this happen? So what did Man United do that was innovative, everybody will ask? Well, Man United were one of the first clubs to start doing pre-season tours, both nationally and internationally. So Man United would go to towns and cities, play what at the time was some of the most exciting football in the world. Football Taught by Matt Busby was a song that United fans were singing through the 50s because kids would come and watch United play against their local team and go, look at the way they move the ball. Look how quick they are. Look at the skills. Wow, I fell in love with it. So they built this fan base. So Matt Busby went to America and watched them. I think it was American football. And he came back and said to the club, we've got to build boxes. And they're like, what? We've got to build these boxes. You charge people more money for them. They get a box and they get some food. So Man United started building boxes at the club in the 50s because Sir Matt Busby saw it in a different sport, in a different industry, and brought it to the Premier League. The point I'm making is...
So but what you're saying is because they were going on pre-season tours back then, they were getting executive boxes, they were earning more income than every other team, so they could strengthen their team better and win more.
So again, but you're missing the point, Lee.
Well, I'm not, because that's what the man saw.
No. But it's organic. Man United saw innovative ways. But no, Lee, you're going off point because your question, your point was how can Brentford ever get to that level? But you've got to do your history to understand it. It's like me saying it's unfair that I've started a book company and I'm not as big as Amazon yet. It'd take me years to catch up with Amazon, but I may never do it because Amazon were innovative.
No, because now you're limited to how much you can put into your book business, Terry.
Why?
Because there's restrictions, i.e. FFP. So now you can only spend, like if you've got 150 grand sat in your bank account, cash money in your bank, and you want to set up a business or buy a business that sells lighters and manufactures lighters, yeah? But there's a lighter company that is the world's greatest lighter company, but you've just bought a failing business, yeah? And now you're told that you can't spend any, you can only send a percentage of that money in your bank account. Yeah, because the business is failing. The revenue is not that great. Yeah, you're only allowed to spend a tiny little bit of that over the next 3 years of your actual cash. Yeah, because you have to spend and invest what your company is earning. How does that make any sense? Why can an owner not spend what he wants? It make sense. It don't make sense to me, Terry.
Because you're taking this, the business example. I understand where you're coming from. Depends what business you're in, by the way. Okay, so if you're in a business in the UK that has competition laws, like television, they can't just pump into it into every area what they want. As an example, they can't get everything they want. There's competition laws. However, in sport, you're not just a business; it's also competition, and they want the ground to be as fair as possible. However, hang on a second, let me finish my point. That lighter company example you gave, how do you compete? Well, if you buy a failing lighter business and you want to go up against the big boys, you have got to create something that's innovative and is different and that gives your potential customers something different from everybody else. So what Brentford need to do, as the example now, is continue to grow and develop this beautiful looking football. Over the years, it's going to be a slower burner because it isn't a service, because in football, it's tribal. So you're not going to suddenly, overnight, get, like with phones, I might bring out a brand new phone that's better than the iPhone. You might get 100,000 people switch. That won't happen in football. It takes time. You have to be around for the new generation. You need to pick up the new generation who are picking their football teams. How would Brentford do that? By continuing to grow, develop, play beautiful football, be attractive to the local community, be attractive to the wider people outside. The comparison isn't the same as a business in terms of speed because of the industry, but it can be done. Now, I don't have an issue with an owner injecting money. And you can invest money in your football club now. It is just limited. Now, can they increase that limit? Yes, maybe they can. And I'm not against that. But that isn't the argument here. The argument is, have they broken the rules? And if they have broke the rules, should they be in trouble? There is no.
And if we fast forward and go back 30 minutes ago, I said they should be relegated.
No, and I understand, and I completely and utterly understand that. But my point to a lot of the viewers is that FFP is a bad rule, so I don't care if we've cheated. That don't make sense to me. That's not right.
Terry, how is it cheating to want to make your club more successful? I'm sorry, that makes no sense.
But it's again, you're looking at the. There was a line from a great film once that said, "There's no such thing as a perfect man, just perfect intentions." Sheikh Mansour is just trying to win for the right, doing it for the right reasons. Doesn't make his actions right. Doesn't make if the rules are there, the rules are there, bro.